The case began with an email written from a concerned parent whose child had just been severely injured on the job.
I am writing to find out the legal age that a child can be to cook and change grease in a cooker deep fryer.
Her son, while working for a national fast food restaurant, was badly injured, receiving second and third degree burns over much of his body. It was an accident that left his mother with more questions than answers. That's when labor standards investigator Thomas Hamlet got involved to help find out what went wrong at this Pulaski restaurant.
Simply call your local police agency, let them know that you know it's against the law. And she was frustrated. She really didn't know who to turn to. But he was operating a deep fryer, which he wasn't supposed to be using at 15 years of age. He had never been trained how to properly use it, and when the equipment got low on grease, the manager, forgetting that he was a 15-year-old, told him to load the machine. He did not know that you had to slice these 50-pound blocks of lard before you placed them in the fryer.
The employee started toward the fryer with this 50-pound block of lard. Once he got close to the fryer, which had been preheated to 400 degrees and was half full of hot grease, the block softened enough to slip out of the victim's hands, and the entire 50-pound block fell into the fryer, splashing the hot grease on the victim.
It's probably the worst burn case I've investigated since I've been here. I use that story as an example in my classes because it has a little bit different and better ending than most. My understanding is that there's a plastic surgeon in the town where he lives that has agreed to help try to repair the damages as best he can, and he expects about a 97% recovery.
A child that gets a severe burn, they're going through a lot of trauma there, not just the burn. Sometimes they have to have plastic surgery to repair that, and then again, it may not cover it.
While the cause of the accident was clear, inspectors pored over the accident site and found many other violations regarding the proper documentation of minors, including posting labor law posters, keeping proof of age documentation on all minors, and keeping accurate records of time worked and break periods. The state requires each minor must have one 30-minute unpaid break or meal period if scheduled to work 6 hours consecutively.
We feel like they've cleaned up their house, so to speak. We don't know for sure until we go back, but we will be rescheduling an inspection, generally within 6 months of the original injury. Hey, Santiago, you got a minute?
Labor Standards has 12 inspectors throughout the state. With so few employees, they must prioritize their inspections by visiting the most hazardous sites first and follow up on businesses that have promised to change their ways after an accident has occurred.
If it's an injury-related inspection, we're usually going to try to find the piece of equipment or the location where the injury occurred. If it's a slip in a floor, there's not a whole lot you can do with that. But if they're operating a specific piece of equipment, we're going to take digital photographs of that equipment, take a serious look at whether or not it's a prohibited piece of equipment that they shouldn't have been using in the first place. We'll also review time records and personnel files to make sure that they have their paperwork in order. But if it's an injury investigation, we're going to focus more on the equipment and the functions being performed. Were they operating within the bounds of the law? And in many cases they are. They are operating equipment that is legal, but they maybe just didn't get sufficient training, or it comes back to maturity.
Inspectors generally find a few non-serious violations in every location they visit. First-time violators are generally given warnings to correct a problem, and employers give a timetable for correction.
We're not out to make big fines. We're not out to make big fines off of anything. Our goal is not money, our goal is safety and promoting safety for the children, giving them a healthy environment to learn in, to work in, to grow in. And sometimes that message may get confused with the open market telling people we're coming after you with big fines, but that's not our goal. Our goal is to inform and create a workplace where people can do their jobs without fear of retribution.
It turns out the child in this case was 16 years old and is legally allowed to operate machinery with hot grease. But you can see how easy it is to get burned when working in and around this type of equipment.